Y'all, I know you're going to get tired of me talking about declensions and noun endings, but we're not done. I'm sorry. I promised that I would make you guys a video on the fourth and fifth declension and one on neuters. This one is on the fourth and fifth declension, okay? Fourth and fifth declension, here we go. So before I get into what they actually look like, one thing to keep in mind is that part of why it's so important to know our first declension endings is because there are thousands of words in the first declension, and so that one pattern of the first declension applies to all those thousands of words. Same with the second. There are thousands of second declension words, and if you learn that one pattern that goes with the second, you can apply it to all those words. And even though there's some funky stuff going on with the third declension, nevertheless, there are thousands, many thousands of third declension words. So if you learn that pattern, you can apply that pattern to all of those third declension words. It's very worth your time to do. In fact, there's going to come a time pretty soon that if you don't know those things, you're going to get stuck and confused and have all sorts of problems. So you want to learn those, all right? Now, if you don't know them yet, I'm not saying go panic, but, work on it, okay? The fourth, by comparison, has hundreds of words in it. And while hundreds might still sound like a large number, it is, in fact, a whole order of magnitude less than thousands, because there just aren't as many. And the fifth has maybe like 10 or 12 words in it. I think official lists list more than that, but usually some of them are compounds. So if you ignore the compound words, then yeah, there's like a dozen, which is an order of magnitude less than hundreds. In fact, it's like 2 orders of magnitude less because there are hundreds and there's like 1 dozen fifth declension words. There's barely any, but they're fairly common words. They do show up. We need to know them. So let's start with the fourth. All right. I'm going to start with a word that you guys probably recognize. It's the word Senate. Yes, this is our word Senate that we have borrowed from the Romans. We just end ours with an E and they end theirs with a fourth declension ending. And already some of you who know your second declension pretty well are probably looking at that and thinking like, oh my gosh, it ends in US. How am I going to tell a second from a fourth if they both end in US in the nominative? And this is where the genitive comes to the rescue, right? Because anytime you're asked to decline, or if you're presented new vocab words, or if you're looking up a word in the dictionary, you're always going to be given the nominative form and the genitive. And that genitive looks different from a second. If this were a second, it would be senatus senati, but it's not. It's senatus senatus with a long US, and I don't always write long marks, but I am here so you know that this one is short and this one is long, all right? When you see the full form, this is what the full form looks like. And you can see it's dominated by U's. The endings here are us, ui, u, us, ibus, ibus. All right? And of course, the stem is just Senate, right? Ending in a T. So it's dominated by U's. That said, while it is different, it does still have some things in common with the other declensions, particularly with the third, right? Where you get long ESs, in the third you get long USs. Unfortunately, it also overlaps with the genitive singular. That's dumb and annoying, but oh well. You get a UUM in the genitive plural. That's pretty distinctive, but also not that different from UM in the third or from orum or aurum in the first and second. And the ebuses, well, those are exactly the same as datives and ablatives in the third, so that didn't seem so bad. And we get M in the accusative still. We still get a vowel, a long vowel in the ablative singular. So there are things that overlap here, or even I in the dative singular, all right? And one of the cool things about the fourth declension is that it gives us lots of nouns that are derived from verbs. So these are not all of them by any means, but here's a few examples. Ikio ikere means to strike, and it provides us the word ictus, which means stroke. And that is the Latin name for the medical condition known as stroke. Habeo habere, real common verb that I think we've seen already. It gives us the word habit, which is the fourth declension habitus. Now, usually when you see this in Latin, they're actually usually talking about clothing, like a nun's habit, but it can also be, refer to behavior and is clearly where we get our word habit. And then that last one down there, redeo ridere, that means to smile or laugh, and it gives us risus, which is a smile or a laugh. And that, in fact, is one of our vocab words. I think that's actually the first fourth declension word you're ever going to see when you eventually see it. Maybe you already have, okay? So that's the fourth declension. If you're worried about gender, don't be, because it doesn't matter if it's masculine or feminine. It's going to look the same. They're basically all masculine. All those words are masculine, with just a few exceptions. And the few exceptions, the feminine words, they still have the same endings, so it's not like you have to learn something different. There's just a couple random words that are feminine. Now let's talk about the fifth. The fifth declension is all feminine, but there's one really important fifth declension word that you've already seen that is in fact masculine, and it's this one. Dies. Dies, die. All right, the genitive ending is ei. Boy, is that different from any of the other genitives, which is why this is a new pattern unto itself. And yeah, like I said, you already saw this one, but if you want to see the full forms, it's like this. Dies, die, die, diem, die, dies, dierum, diebus, dies, diebus. So we get aes, aes, erum, ebus, aes, ebus. Those are your fifth declension endings, all right? And again, it does not matter if it's masculine or feminine. This one word is masculine, but every other one is feminine, and they have the exact same endings. This is a super common word too. It means like thing or situation, and you will see it in Latin 1, but it's going to have the exact same endings that day would have. No difference whatsoever. It just has a very, very short stem. For that matter, if you do end up seeing others, they're probably going to look a lot like this. This is the word battle line. For those of you guys reviewing this later on or reading Caesar, you'll definitely recognize Achies from Caesar, but it's the same. It's got an es in the nominative, ei in the genitive, and that tells you to start this fifth declension pattern that has the exact same endings as dies or res. And part of the reason why I want to show this example is not just because it's real common in Caesar, but also because a lot of the fifth declension words actually do have stems that end in I. So you'll see a whole bunch that look like this word. And by a whole bunch, I mean like 7 of them, because there's only about a dozen words to begin with. Anyway, that's what the fourth and fifth declension look like. I am going to do at least one more video on noun endings just so we can make sure that we've addressed the neuter, okay? Because the neuter is a little bit different from the masculine and feminine ones. But other than that, these are the declensions. There are 5 declensions, and now you have been exposed to all 5 of them, okay? I'll see you in class. Bye, everybody.